So what we talked about, what we showed last week, was sort of 20, 25 years of this ecclesia. People who have come and gone, whether they've come for a moment, for a day, or whether they were here for a period of time and then went somewhere else, or whether they were here for a lifetime and have since fallen asleep. We were blessed to be able to do that visually because of what Nancy has done for us for the past 40 or so years. And that is that she made sure she got a picture of everybody that walked through that door. I say, I know for 30 years, because I know when I first started, 30 plus years, when I first started coming here and on any kind of regular basis in the 1990, around 1991, she was already doing it. And I'm sure those of you that are here before me can tell you that she was doing it for years and years and years before that. And it's interesting to consider that she kept doing that because we called her the official photographer, but we don't elect a photographer. She just did it. And she's been doing it for years and 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 years. And for the most part, we've never seen the pictures. She just kept doing it. Why? Why? She got nothing for it. We've teased her about it. Oh, you hear? Watch out for Nancy. She's going to take your picture, guaranteed. Why did she do it? Why didn't you just grow frustrated after a while and say, well, nobody's seeing these things anyway, or I don't get anything out of it. I don't get anything for it. So why did she keep doing it? You know, we showed a bunch of brethren last week. We showed people like Doug and Peg and Penny and Bill and you know, Bob and so many others. These people walked through that door and served this ecclesia in one capacity or another for years and years and years. Why? Why did they keep coming? Why were they still here? I think of Sister Penny Cadell. For those of you that don't know Penny and Bill were members of this ecclesia till they fell asleep. And Penny reached a point where she was so disabled that we had to wheel her in on a Sunday morning, right? We would grab these big long planks that we kept back here and we would put them out and we would wheel Penny up the planks so that she could be in here in her wheelchair. She was incredibly crippled, both her hands and by the end her feet. And yet she was still here. Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, she was still here. Why? Arthur Hampton was the doorkeeper here forever. You get no accolades, you get nothing for being the doorkeeper. Nobody sits there and says, wow, what a great doorkeeping job they did this Sunday. Well, Arthur was really on his game. And you know something about Arthur? For years, they had a business, right? An answering service business. And on Saturday night, Arthur would work the answering service business overnight, which means he was up overnight, Saturday after Saturday after Saturday. And yet he was the first person in this building every Sunday. Why? What did he get out of it? And yet he did it Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. And that's just a few of examples. Bob Dixon was gone for 40 years, something more. And then he came back, which is amazing enough as it is, but he came back and asked for nothing. He just served the ecclesia from the moment he came back. never asked for anything, never needed anything. I'll tell you a story. Ginny Cotton was gone for over 60 years and came back. And when she came back, she had a letter. And the letter said, "This is what has to be in order for me to be here." She actually had a letter that said, "You need to be able to do this, you need to be caring, we need to be doing this." And then she never bothered to follow up. She wanted to have a meeting and never followed up. All she did was come here and serve, play the piano, make those incredible marshmallow things that she made that were so delicious. All she did was serve until she fell asleep. We've had these amazing, amazing witnesses of just giving. I was talking to Butch last night about his father. His father was a member of this ecclesia for all intents and purposes his entire life. And he never took from the ecclesia. All he ever did was give. We never had to deal with Jack. Whether it was the building or the arranging board or just being that person of wisdom that he was. All he did for all those years was just give. Why? What did he get out of it? Didn't make a penny. Didn't win any awards. We didn't have any big party for him. I want you to think about that this morning as we look at, first of all, who is still here? And then what it all means. And we'll look at some verses. I think that'll help us to consider what it all means. So first, let's just take a look at holding fast to that which thou hast. And we'll look at what that verse means. We have so much here right now, brothers and sisters. So much to be thankful for, so much to hold on to. And first and foremost, what we have to hold on to is each other. Right there, every Sunday. God love you, Gordon. You can barely make it down the aisle, and there you are. Every Sunday. Sharon went through a lot to be a part of this, a lot for herself. I'm not speaking out of turn. She went through a lot for herself to be a part of being here. And now she's here all the time. She asked Paul today, "How you doing?" She talked to Rich. "How's Brenda?" Please let her know we're asking for her. Not a beautiful picture, huh? They're putting little disciples together downstairs, trying to serve our young people to make them strong. Lord willing, they'll be with us for a long time, even when we're not. He almost died. He knows it. Still here. Still giving a prayer. By the way, whenever he steps up to the stage to read or give a prayer, the first thing we have to do in the back is turn the volume down. I love that picture. Wayne serving cake. That's a capture, because I can't tell you I've ever seen Wayne serve cake, but by golly, he's breaking out the cake because he cares. Another family in need. We can't forget that these two are actually with us. They're with us always online, but they are now members of our ecclesia. They were once. I'll never forget when they left, because poor Dana had to get up and give a speech and was going away, and he fell apart. I can understand that, Dana. And now they're back. From a distance, but they're still with us. This brother serves us and has served us for years and years, for decades. For decades, he has served us. Never asking for anything, just giving what he can give. Year after year, all the time. Both of them. I shouldn't just say one. They both do. But she almost has hair there. Almost. Give and give and give. This sister gives all the time. I had, we've been inviting the Swahili people, to Bible school. And she's invaluable. Even though her English is not the best, it's better than most of them. And she just helps them. Last year at the Bible school, a family showed up, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to comport themselves. They didn't know anything. And within a day, between Chantel and Justine, they knew exactly where they were and what it all meant. I never said anything to them. They just took them aside and talked to them and said, this is what this is all about. Well, enough said, I suppose. What would we do without Hamptons in this ecclesia? And all they do is just serve the ecclesia. That's what they do. That's what Mark has been doing. That's what Chris is learning how to do. Paul and Dottie came here from the Providence Ecclesia, which is an unamended ecclesia. They were looking for an ecclesia that had more of a compassionate side to it than what they were used to. They went to a bunch of different ecclesias. They stayed here. They've now been here for 25 years, just serving the ecclesia. I think Ellen grew up in this ecclesia, right? Yeah. And now they're back. And Gary another one that can barely walk sometimes, yet he's still here with that great line. Well, here I am again. Sister Gail. All she does is give. That's all she does. Here's a young picture. Nancy wasn't afraid to take your picture while you were eating, by the way. Most people don't particularly like to have their picture taken while they're eating, but she wasn't afraid of it. I got a few of them. We're just here to serve each other. 2010. They're back. I don't know if you noticed. They left for many years. They went to southern New Hampshire because Paul wanted, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think Paul wanted more responsibility. This is a big ecclesia for the most part. And you go up to southern New Hampshire, and you're here, and you're speaking once every 12 or 13 weeks, and you go up to southern New Hampshire, and you're speaking every 3 weeks. I thought he was insane at the time, but he did. And he served that ecclesia, a wonderful ecclesia, for many, many years. And now they're back with us again. The Denines. Where would we be without them right now? They're such an important part of everything that we do. Brother Phil. I didn't have an AV picture, but Phil does more than just AV, by the way. He has a lot to say, a lot to give. He gives that for sure. But he gives so much more. And by the way, he's here every Sunday. Every Sunday, every Sunday, every Sunday, every Sunday. He wants a Sunday off, by the way. Huh? He's still calling for help. Yep. He's had me for a long time, and he keeps going, we need somebody else. Hold fast to that which thou hast. Now, this is earlier this month. Another brother who doesn't give himself enough credit. He's been on our doorkeepers for 20 years. You do a great job, Scott. Thank you. Sister Katie has been an inspiration to us for many years. Not just because she has survived, which is remarkable enough as it is with everything she's been through, but that she's come out of it with such a loving, caring heart and patience. Kathy has been putting out cards now for years and years and years. Every Sunday. She forces you to sign, even if you don't want to. Why? You shouldn't get anything back for it. And she'll put cards out for people we never even heard of. Why? Wayne and Cindy have been with us for years. Their entire family with us for years and years and years. Sister Ruthie. You know, I look at all these pictures and I think of how much each of these individuals has given to me. And I'm overwhelmed, both by the love of God and by the incredible lack of appreciation for what He has provided and offered to me and all of you. I know that last week when I was previewing this, I called it strengthening that which remains. But I switched it to this quote, hold fast that which thou hast, because I wanted to specifically take a look at a certain set of passages that talks about what it means to be a strong ecclesia and what we should be and what we should do as a strong ecclesia. And it's found actually, and by the way, it makes the point that the strength is little. And it's found in Revelation, and if you want to look it up, it's in Revelation chapter 3, and it's about the Philadelphia ecclesia. And I'm not saying we're the Philadelphia ecclesia. We might have some Laodicea in us as well. But it doesn't mean we can't learn from what Jesus said to Philadelphia. So I just want to take a few minutes and consider what Jesus was talking about when He gave to John this passage about speaking to the angel of the church of Philadelphia. And to the angel of the church of Philadelphia write. Well, what is Philadelphia? Well, we know Philadelphia is brotherly love. We don't know anything about this ecclesia, by the way. They're not in Acts. We don't know its foundations. It's not Philippi. We don't know anything. And this is not Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, by the way. This is Philadelphia in Asia, in I assume Asia Minor, I believe Asia Minor, where all the 7 ecclesias were in Revelation. And yet it's an ecclesia of brotherly love. Well, what does that mean, brotherly love? Well, Jesus said this in John 13:34. He said, "A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another as I have loved you." That's what separates out the disciples of Christ from everybody else. Not love. There's plenty of love. But to love as I have loved you. And in another class at another time, we talked about that John 13, that dinner in the upper room. And what Jesus was trying to teach those in the upper room that night when He said, "With desire I have desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer." There's one thing you have to understand so that you know what my sacrifice represents. And that one thing was this. When they say to Jesus, or speak to Jesus and say, "Lord, is it I?" When Jesus said, "One of you is going to betray me," And they had reached a point in their faith where they knew the love of Jesus for them, and that he had given everything for them. And yet they confessed, I could still be the one. It's so important that we keep that, we hold fast to that truth. Because when you recognize that truth, then it becomes all about him and not about you. And for those people in our ecclesia who have given and given and given for years and decades in a lifetime, it was never about them. It was always about their God and their Savior. That's why she kept taking the pictures. Because it wasn't about her. And whether or not anybody ever saw it, she just kept doing it. And that's exactly what's being said here. Notice what it says. It says, these things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth and no man shutteth, and shutteth and no man openeth. I know thy works. And then he doesn't list the works. When you look at the other ecclesias, right? He says, I know your works. I know that you hate the works of the Nicolaitans. Or I know that you do this or you do that. He doesn't say what their works are. He just says, I know their works. I have set before thee an open door. Behold, I have set before thee an open door. He never lists what they do. Because what they do is in that prior verse. These things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key to David, of David. That was their works. Their works was to magnify their Lord. And what they magnified was that he is true. Was that he and he alone is holy. And that he has the key to everlasting life. The key to the kingdom. Everything they did was about him. It was never about themselves. And they understood he can open the door or he can shut it. It's all in his hands. And he says to them, I have set before thee an open door. The door is already open and waiting for you to walk in. Why? Because you don't need anything else. You just don't realize it yet. We just still, ourselves, myself, still don't realize that the door is open before us. We don't need to know more. We don't need to expound or to teach each other what the basic principles of what God's plan and purpose is. We've been doing it for years and years, decades, centuries. 150 years in this ecclesia, 2,000 years among those that are redeemed. It's been going on. Teaching you the truth about Jesus Christ. The truth about God's plan and purpose. The mercy and the love of God. We don't have to sit there and argue about Trinity or argue about anything else. We already know. And Jesus has already opened the door before us. It's already open. We just have to walk through. And because of what we've been blessed to be given, no man can shut it. Nobody can walk in here tomorrow and all of a sudden start saying things that we go, oh, is that what it is? It'll be some measure of faith by works, I guarantee you, because that's what false religion is. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter whether it's Muslim, it doesn't matter whether it's all kinds of Orthodox Christianity. It's all faith by works, and it's all a lie, and we already know it. And nobody's going to walk in here unless we allow it to happen and come in here and start preaching a different gospel. Because we already have all the witness that what we know is true. We have the Nancy Rices and the Penny Cadells and the Bill Cadells and all those people that came before, the Bob Davises and all those people that came before that said, this is what's important. This is what matters. The rest of it doesn't make any difference. No one can come in and shut that door on us. And he says, for thou hast a little strength. A little bit. And that's all you need. Because he's got all the rest of it. That little strength is that reminder each and every day, each and every Sunday, that we are here to remember Christ. That's that little strength that can carry us through anything and has kept my word and has not denied my name. That's a life of faith. That's what we try to do all the time. And we are all weak, and we all fall short, and sometimes we all find ourselves in need of a lifting up. But you're never going to lose it. You know how you're never going to lose it? Because 60 years later, Ginny still walked in the door. 40 years later, Bob still walked in the door. 20 years later, Andrea still walked in the door. Gordon still walked in the door. Why did they come back to this door? Why did they come back here? Because there was no place else to go. Thou hast the word of truth. I had somebody recently I love say to me, well, I don't know what any of it is anyway. Yes, you do. You just don't want to walk through the door. That door is open to us as a family, brothers and sisters, individually, brothers and sisters, and friends. All of you. That door is open to you. You don't need anything else. This is what he says in the next verse. He says, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. I will make the synagogue of Satan come to you. The synagogue of Satan. You know, we're not televangelists. You know, the synagogue of Satan isn't, some, mythical character. The synagogue of Satan is doubt and fear. That's the only thing that can keep us from God and keep us from the kingdom of God is doubt and fear. We already have all that we need. The door is already open. And Jesus says, I'm going to bring the synagogue of Satan before you. You don't have to worry about it. You have to deal with it. And you can't be overwhelmed by it. And sometimes we are. But I will bring the synagogue, and he will come and worship before your feet. He will ask you what the hope is. That's what we possess, brothers and sisters. But we can't allow doubt and fear in our own weaknesses, in our own self-interest, or our own sort of, oh, woe is me, I'm so terrible. Yes, you are. Welcome to the club. He is not. And the very one who is not, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, has opened the door for you and for me, the chiefest of sinners. That's the love of God. And to know that I have loved you, that's what we should be reflecting to other people in our lives if we don't allow fear and doubt to get in the way. That in the end you look and say, I don't know, that there's something different. The people that walked in here for 40 years, the small things, Nancy taking pictures that nobody will see for 40, 50 years. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience. Why patience? Because that's what it takes. It takes patience. I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world. So he keeps us from the hour of temptation. We know we're going to be taken away at the end. There's no doubt about that. But he keeps us from the hour of temptation. Why? Because we've overcome temptation? I wish. He keeps us from the hour of temptation because he loves us. And that hour of temptation is going to come upon the entire world. It's getting closer and closer and closer every day. Hate is winning in this world. Fear and doubt are winning in this world. And ultimately, they will continue to win until Christ returns. But they should never be able to touch us. Because we have a little strength. Because we know the hope of God. And try them that dwell upon the earth. He says, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. That's our goal in the days ahead, brothers and sisters, as we wait for Christ. We don't let anybody take what we have. And we don't want to ever give it up ourselves. We want to hold fast to it. Every Sunday we want to walk in here, we want to remember what Christ's sacrifice represents. We want to keep our mind on those things which are above. We want to allow those in need to reach out to us. We want to shine as a light before the world that lives in darkness and wonder, what is that hope? What is it? We are such a small family in this world. And yet here we are. We shouldn't be here, brothers and sisters. Yet God has placed us here to shine as a light in the darkness. We can't let anything take that from us. That's all I have. Any questions or comments? I was going to go into 2024 and talk about things we can do, and there are some things we can do, but all those things have to come back to that. You know, I just saw the Simi Hills Ecclesia is doing a prayer challenge. I thought that was really interesting. They're challenging the community to take on 7 different types of ways of prayer. I've been preaching, and I know, you know, Steve and Butch and some of the others are sick of hearing it, but I've been preaching for years that we have an incredible gospel message. We got to get it out there more and more. That's why we live stream. That's why we do the things that we do. We should do more to get that message out there. But we can't get that message out there if it's insincere. If we are wrapped up in ourselves, we can't get that message out there, because the only thing we can do is glorify God. Any other message is meaningless. Any other message is what you can get in the world any day of the week. Any other message is Baal worship. The only message that we have that matters is that we can do all things through Christ, who strengthens us. So whatever we plan to do in the year ahead, whether it's music appreciation, or whether it's the Wednesday night class, or whether it's creating something else, Steve is talking about Habitat for Humanity and that work, whatever we do, if we do it for the glory of God, then people will see it for what it is. If we do it for anything else, whether we're talking as an ecclesia or you're talking individually, if we do anything else for ourselves, then we are not glorifying God. But if we do it for Him, then others will see it and want to know why. That's the faith we've been called to. It's rare and it's blessed. And nobody can take it away. And the door is open. And we would love to walk through that door together into the kingdom of God.